The cleaning lady sat by mistake at the billionaire's reserved table, and he completely changed her destiny. Before we start the story, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. Jenny Hart was sitting in the wrong chair. Not just any wrong chair, the most wrong chair in the entire Cole Grand Hotel in Dallas, Texas. The chair reserved for billionaire guests, celebrities, and people who probably had more money in their wallets than she earned in a whole year cleaning bathrooms. And she had no idea. Sitting there with her simple navy blue dress bought on clearance at the department store on Fifth Avenue, the Texas version, not the New York one, Jenny nervously adjusted the white linen napkin on her lap while whispering softly, "My God, Jenny, today you won't drop anything. Got it? No tripping. No knocking over glasses. No saying something silly at the wrong time." She took a deep breath, looked around the gala hall decorated with crystal chandeliers that seemed to cost more than her entire apartment, and smiled to herself. "You can do this, girl. It's just a dinner. You've cleaned this hall 1,000 times. Now you're on the other side, the fancy side." The problem was that Jenny was way too fancy for that night. Too fancy for a cleaning lady who had been awarded Employee of the Year. Because the name card in front of her plate, that little white card beautifully printed in gold lettering, said, Jenny Hart. And Jenny, blessed confident soul, thought that was part of the special award protocol. Of course it is, she thought. Employee of the Year gets special attention. They even put my name at the main table. What an honor. She fixed her hair, which her neighbor Doris had styled with enough spray and hairpins to survive a Category 5 hurricane. Jenny touched the hairstyle discreetly and whispered, "Doris, you're an artist. This hair won't move even if I dance all night." Dance? Her? Jenny Hart? She almost laughed to herself. Calm down, Jenny. You don't even know how to dance. Don't get carried away now. On the other side of the hall, near the service entrance, 2 event staff members held clipboards and walkie-talkies, checking the guest list with increasingly confused expressions. "Marcy, are you sure her last name is Hart?" asked the younger one, a girl in her early 20s named Tina, with a headset hanging around her neck. Marcy, the hotel's event supervisor, frowned as she slid her finger down the printed list. Hart. Oh yes, Jenny Hart, Employee of the Year. She should be at table 12 near the kitchen, but her name is at table 1, Tina pointed with her pen, almost panicking. At the main table, the owner's table. Marcy's face lost all its color. What? I know. I also thought it was strange, but the card was already there when we set up the tables yesterday. Marcy turned the clipboard upside down, then sideways, as if that would reveal some magical answer. Wait. She took a deep breath. Wait. Tina, tell me something. Who was Mr. Cole's VIP guest today? Tina checked the second page. Jenny Harper, digital influencer, 2 million followers, his personal guest. And did she confirm? No, she canceled yesterday morning. Marcy closed her eyes. Oh my God, what happened? Tina. Marcy grabbed her shoulder with the strength of someone about to faint. We put Jenny Hart in the place of Jenny Harper. Silence. Tina's eyes widened. No. Yes. No. Yes. But how? The names are similar. Hart Harper. Someone typed it wrong. And now the cleaning lady is sitting in the seat meant for the millionaire influencer at the table of the hotel chain's owner. Tina dropped the clipboard on the floor. Meanwhile, Jenny was living the best moment of her life. She looked at the empty plate in front of her, that porcelain plate so fine she could see the shadow of her fingers behind it, and thought about how surprising life could be. Yesterday I was cleaning this hall on my knees, she whispered to herself, smiling. Today I'm sitting here like someone important. Employee of the Year is serious stuff. She picked up the crystal water glass and watched the chandelier light pass through the liquid. Jenny, don't let this glass slip. Hold it tight. Tight. That's it. Good girl. That's when she noticed someone had just sat down next to her. A tall man, wearing a perfect black suit, a dark gray tie that fit flawlessly, and hair styled back with natural elegance. He had that kind of presence that made the air around him feel heavier, in a good way. Jenny turned her head and almost choked on her own saliva. My God, where did this man come from? A magazine? He looked at her with a faint smile at the corner of his mouth, as if waiting for her to say something. Jenny blinked 3 times. Say something, Jenny. Say anything. Hi, she blurted out, way too fast, almost shouting. The man raised an eyebrow, amused. Good evening, Jenny answered, adjusting the napkin on her lap for the fourth time. Sorry, I didn't see you sit down. Are you like a ninja? Because you appeared out of nowhere. He let out a low, soft, genuine laugh. Not exactly. Jenny held out her hand, excited. I'm Jenny Hart, nice to meet you. He shook her hand with polite firmness. Nathan, nice to meet you, Jenny. Nathan, that's a beautiful name. She released his hand and nervously placed hers back on her lap. Do you work here at the hotel too? Nathan tilted his head, curious. In a way, yes. Oh, that's great. I work here too. Jenny smiled wide. I'm a housekeeper, but I won Employee of the Year. That's why they invited me to this fancy dinner. I still can't believe it. I never thought I'd sit in such a comfortable chair. My gosh, this chair is like a cloud. Nathan watched Jenny with growing interest, as if he were seeing something rare. Employee of the Year, he repeated slowly. Congratulations, that's a big accomplishment. Thank you. Jenny placed a hand on her chest, touched. Honestly, I almost cried when I found out. I've been working here for 3 years, you know? I wake up at 5 in the morning, take 2 buses, clean 17 floors a day. But I love what I do. People think it's strange, but it's true. Why do you love it? Nathan asked, truly interested. Jenny paused, thought for a second, and answered with honesty. Because I make things beautiful. When someone walks into a room that's clean, tidy, smelling good, they feel good. And that makes me happy. You know when you do something that seems small, but it makes a difference to someone? That's what it is. Nathan stayed silent for a moment, just watching her. Jenny noticed and blushed. Sorry, I talk too much when I get nervous. My neighbor always says, Jenny, you sound like a radio without an off switch. She laughed at herself, nervous. But it's true. I even talk to myself while I work. Like, Jenny, don't forget to clean behind the door. Jenny, be careful with the flower vase. People probably think I'm crazy. Nathan smiled, a real smile this time. I think you're authentic. Jenny blinked. Really? Really? She was speechless for a whole 2 seconds, then she murmured softly, Wow, Nathan, you're kind. Across the room, Marcy was having a silent meltdown. Tina, he already sat next to her. I know, I saw. What do we do? I'm going over there. Tina took a deep breath, adjusting her clipboard. I'm going to talk to him, quietly. Tina, no. He'll fire us. Marcy, we don't have a choice. We have to tell him there's been a mistake. Tina started walking toward table 1, her heart beating so hard she thought everyone in the room could hear it. Meanwhile, Jenny kept chatting. Did you travel far for this dinner? She asked, curious. Sort of, Nathan answered vaguely. I travel a lot. Traveling must be nice, right? I've never left Dallas. Well, once I went to Houston to visit my aunt, but that doesn't count because it's close. Jenny sighed. One day I want to see the beach, like a real beach, with white sand and blue water. You've never been to the beach? Nathan asked, surprised. Never. Jenny laughed without embarrassment. But it's on my list. You know those dream lists we make? The beach is at the top of mine. Nathan watched her with an expression Jenny couldn't read. That's when Tina reached the table, wearing a forced smile and eyes full of quiet panic. Good evening, Mr. Cole, she said softly, leaning slightly toward Nathan. I'm sorry to interrupt. Nathan turned his head toward her, keeping his elegant posture. Yes, Tina? Jenny looked at Tina, then at Nathan, not understanding anything. Mr. Cole? He has the same last name as the hotel? Tina gave Jenny a quick glance, then returned to whispering to Nathan. Sir, there was a small mistake in the guest list. Miss Hart. She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. She is our Employee of the Year. Her place was at table 12, but there was some confusion with the names, and Nathan raised his hand, politely interrupting her. Tina. Yes, sir? He looked at Jenny, who was watching everything with wide eyes, clearly confused, then he looked back at Tina. She is exactly where she's supposed to be. Tina blinked. Sir? There is absolutely no problem, Nathan said with calm firmness. Miss Hart can stay at the table. Tina froze for a moment, processing what she had just heard. But, sir, the original guest didn't show up. Nathan finished, without taking his eyes off Jenny. So there's no reason to change anything. It's fine. Tina swallowed hard. Understood, sir. Excuse me. She stepped away quickly, almost tripping over her own feet. Jenny, still confused, looked at Nathan. Wait, you're Kind of her boss? Nathan gave a small smile. Something like that. Oh. Jenny adjusted her napkin again, nervous. Sorry, I didn't know. You must be important here at the hotel, right? In a way. Jenny took a deep breath. Well then, thank you for letting me stay. I didn't want to cause trouble. If you want me to move to another table, I will. Really, no problem. Nathan watched her for a long moment. Jenny? Yes? I want you to stay. Jenny's heart jumped in a strange way. Are you sure? Absolutely. She gave him a shy smile. Okay then, I'll stay. That was when the waiter arrived with a tray of appetizers, tiny canapes decorated like pieces of art. Jenny looked at the plate as if it were a museum sculpture. Oh my goodness, this is food? It's so pretty it almost feels wrong to eat it. Nathan watched her reaction, clearly amused. You can eat it. That's what it's for. Jenny picked up a canapé with exaggerated care, as if it might explode. All right, I'll eat it. But if I drop crumbs on this white tablecloth, I swear I'll clean it up. Nathan shook his head, smiling. Across the room, Marcy grabbed Tina's arm when she returned. So, what did he say? Tina was pale. He said she can stay. What? He said she's exactly where she should be. Marcy looked toward table 1, where Nathan and Jenny were talking like old friends. This makes no sense at all, Marcy whispered, stunned. I know, Tina replied, still processing. But he was smiling. Marcy narrowed her eyes. Smiling? Smiling for real. Like, happy. The two stood silently, watching the surreal scene. Because right then, without Jenny knowing, she was sitting next to the richest man in Dallas, the owner of the entire Cole hotel chain, the billionaire Nathan Cole. And for the first time in years, he was genuinely interested in getting to know someone real. All because of a wrong chair, and a mistake that, in the end, might not have been a mistake at all. Maybe it was fate. Jenny Hart was about to commit a culinary crime. She was holding the fish fork, small, delicate, clearly meant for seafood, and staring at the chocolate dessert that had just arrived, a molten cake with vanilla ice cream slowly melting beside it. Nathan watched, trying not to smile. A fork is a fork, right? Jenny said, already sticking the wrong utensil into the dessert with the confidence of someone who had no idea she was doing it wrong. Across the table, a woman in a red silk dress and pearl necklace almost choked on her wine. Nathan, however, simply laughed. A low, genuine laugh, the kind he hadn't given in years. You're absolutely right, he said, picking up his own fish fork and digging into the dessert too. A fork is a fork. Jenny froze mid-bite, staring at him wide-eyed. Are you copying my mistake just so I won't feel bad? I'm copying you because you're right. Whoever invented a specific fork for everything clearly had way too much time on their hands. Jenny let out a laugh way too loud for such an elegant room. Oh my goodness, Nathan, you're funny. The woman in red exchanged scandalized looks with her husband. Who is that girl? She whispered, not nearly as quietly as she thought. No idea, the husband replied, adjusting his glasses. But Mr. Cole seems different. Jenny didn't hear them. She was too busy trying to keep the ice cream from running down her chin. This stuff melts too fast, she muttered, wiping her mouth with her napkin. It's like it's running a marathon on the plate. Nathan rested his chin on his hand, watching her with a smile no one at that table could explain. Jenny. Yes? Do you always say whatever comes to your mind? She stopped, thought for a second, and answered with complete honesty. Yes. My neighbor Doris says I don't have a filter. Like, zero filter. Is that a problem? No, Nathan said firmly. It's refreshing. Jenny smiled shyly and went back to her dessert. Meanwhile, the woman in red leaned toward her husband and whispered again, She's wearing a department store dress. How do you know? I recognize the stitching. And look at the shoes. They're synthetic. Her husband shrugged. So what? So what? The woman almost shouted under her breath. She doesn't belong at this table, but Nathan didn't care. He was too busy watching the way Jenny enjoyed every bite as if it were the first dessert of her life. Seriously, Nathan, Jenny said, her mouth still half full. Whoever made this deserves an award. Like the Dessert Nobel Prize. Nathan laughed again. I'll suggest creating that category. Do it, Jenny pointed her fork at him, excited. And invite me to the ceremony. I'll wear a fancy dress and everything. She stopped, looked down at her simple navy blue dress, and corrected herself. I mean, fancier than this one. Not that this is bad. I got it on clearance, but it's new, almost new, like 90% new. Nathan shook his head, smiling. You're amazing. Jenny almost dropped her water glass. Me? Amazing? Nathan, did you hit your head? No. Are you sure? Because I'm clumsy, I talk too much, I use the wrong fork. And that's exactly why you're amazing. Jenny went silent, just looking at him with an expression that mixed confusion and something dangerously close to hope. Around the table, the other guests continued watching with barely hidden discomfort. A man in a light gray suit and burgundy tie cleared his throat loudly, trying to get Nathan's attention. Mr. Cole, about tomorrow's meeting. Nathan raised his hand politely, interrupting. Tomorrow, Robert. Tonight I'm busy. Robert blinked, confused. Busy? Having dinner? Exactly. Jenny bit her lip, trying not to laugh at the man's expression. When dinner finally ended and the guests began to get up, Jenny adjusted the small faux leather purse she had been carrying for 5 years. Well, she said, not really sure how to say goodbye. This was, wow, really, thank you for, letting me stay here, at the fancy table. Nathan stood as well, adjusting his jacket with natural elegance. Jenny? Yes? Can I ask you something? Of course, she answered quickly. Anything you want. I mean, within reason. Like, I'm not jumping out of an airplane or anything. Nathan smiled. No skydiving, just your phone number. Jenny froze. The whole room seemed to freeze with her. My number? Yes. Your phone number? Yes. Like, so you can call me? Exactly. Jenny put a hand on her chest, feeling her heart beating all out of rhythm. Nathan, are you sure you didn't hit your head? He laughed. Positive. Why would you want my number? I mean, She was about to say, just a housekeeper, but swallowed the words. Nathan took a step closer. Because I'd like to see you again. If you want to, of course. Jenny opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again, and finally with a thin voice answered, I want to. So? She grabbed her phone, her hands shaking so much she almost dropped it. Okay, all right. But I'm warning you, my phone is old. Like, really old. Sometimes the screen freezes. And the ringtone is that annoying default tune because I don't know how to change it. Nathan took out his own phone, an expensive brand new model, and held it out to her. Type it in. Jenny typed the number with trembling fingers, checked it 3 times to make sure it was right, and handed the phone back. There. But Nathan? Yes? If you change your mind later, it's okay. Really, I won't be upset. I mean, I'll be a little upset, but I'll get over it. Nathan put the phone in his pocket, his eyes still on her. I'm not going to change my mind. Jenny felt her face warm up. Okay, so, good night? Good night, Jenny. She turned around, started walking toward the exit, then stopped. Turned back. Nathan? Yes? Thank you, really, for today. It was the best dinner of my life. And before he could answer, Jenny practically ran out of the room, her heart beating so hard she thought it might explode. When she reached the street, she stopped, braced her hands on her knees, and took a deep breath. Oh my God, Jenny, what just happened? She looked at her phone in her pocket, and then, as if the universe were synchronized, the phone vibrated. A message. From an unknown number. It was the best dinner of my life, too. Sleep well, Jenny. Nathan. Jenny held the phone to her chest and let out a muffled squeal of pure happiness. Across the street, a woman looked at her suspiciously. Jenny didn't care, because for the first time in her life she felt like something amazing was about to happen, and she was absolutely right. Jenny Hart could still feel the ghost of Nathan's message burning on her phone screen. It had been the night before. It was the best dinner of my life, too. She had read that sentence about 50 times before falling asleep, and another 20 when she woke up at 5 in the morning to go to work. Now, kneeling in the 12th floor hallway of the Cole Grand Hotel, scrubbing a coffee stain off the beige carpet, Jenny couldn't stop smiling like a fool. Jenny, you're laughing by yourself again, Maria, another housekeeper, said as she walked by with the cleaning cart. I'm not. You are. And you look like someone who just won the lottery. Jenny opened her mouth to deny it, but her phone vibrated in the pocket of her uniform. She didn't even look at it at first. It was probably the phone company offering some internet plan she couldn't afford. But then the phone vibrated again and again. My goodness, who was texting me 3 times in a row? She whispered, dropping the cleaning cloth and grabbing the phone with hands still damp from cleaning solution. When she saw the name on the screen, her heart stopped. Nathan. Jenny let the phone slip right out of her wet fingers. It fell straight into the bucket of soapy water. No. She plunged her hand into the bucket, fished out the dripping phone, and looked at the wet screen, praying it still worked. It did. And the message was still there. "Good morning, Jenny. Would you like to have coffee with me today?" Nathan. Jenny sat down on the hallway floor, holding the soaked phone against her chest. "He wants to have coffee. With me. Coffee, like a hot drink, together." She took 3 deep breaths. "Calm down, Jenny. Breathe. You can answer a message. It's just typing. Typing is easy. Everyone knows how to type." She looked at her hands trembling and realized that no, typing was not easy at that moment. Maria walked by again, this time from the opposite direction, and stopped when she saw Jenny sitting on the floor. "Jenny? Are you okay?" Jenny hid the phone behind her back so fast she almost dropped it again. "Me? I'm fine. I'm great. Super great. Never been better." Maria narrowed her eyes. "You're sitting on a wet floor." "Yeah, it's because I was checking if the carpet is really clean. Up close. Really up close." Maria shook her head, confused, but kept walking. "You're strange, Jenny." As soon as she turned the corner, Jenny pulled the phone back out and read the message for the 4th time. "Okay, I need to answer. But what do I say? Hi, Nathan? Sure, I'd love to. No, too desperate. Maybe I'll check my schedule? Ridiculous, I don't have a schedule." She typed, "Hi, yes I woo." Deleted it. "Good morning." It would be a plea. Deleted again. "Coffee, yes, thank you." "My goodness, Jenny, you sound like a broken robot." She took a deep breath and finally typed, "Good morning, Nathan. I would love to have coffee with you. What time?" She hit send before she could change her mind, and then she waited. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. Why isn't he answering? Did I write it wrong? Did he change his mind? Did he realize I'm not interesting? The phone vibrated. "How about 3 p.m.? I know a quiet place near the hotel." Nathan. Jenny let out a muffled scream of joy and jumped to her feet so fast she hit her head on the cleaning cart. "Ow. Okay, it's fine. I'm going to have coffee with Nathan." She looked at her reflection in the hallway's glass door. Wrinkled uniform, hair in a crooked bun, smell of cleaning products. "I have 4 hours to look presentable." Jenny left the bucket in the middle of the hallway, grabbed her phone, and ran to the locker room. 3 hours and 40 minutes later, Jenny was locked inside the hotel bathroom, practicing in the mirror. "Hi, Nathan. Nice to see you," she said with an exaggerated smile, then made a face. "No, too formal. Sounds like I'm in a business meeting." She tried again, more relaxed. "Hey, Nathan, how are you?" She shook her head. "No, too casual. He'll think I don't care." Someone knocked on the bathroom door. "Jenny, you've been in there for half an hour." It was the voice of Sandra, the shift supervisor. "I'm coming out. I'm just fixing something." "Are you okay?" "I am. Super okay. Never been better." Jenny looked at the mirror again and whispered to herself, "Just be yourself. Natural. Calm. Confident." She took a deep breath and opened the door. Sandra was standing outside with her arms crossed. "Why did you change clothes in the middle of your shift?" Jenny looked down. She had put on the only nice blouse she owned, a white button-up shirt she bought for a job interview 3 years ago, and a pair of jeans she hadn't worn in months. "I have an appointment." "What kind of appointment?" "A personal one." Sandra raised an eyebrow. "Jenny Hart, do you have a date?" Jenny turned red. "No, I mean, it's not exactly a date, it's just coffee with a person, who is a man. But it's nothing big." Sandra crossed her arms, smiling. "Who is he?" "No one, I mean, someone, but no one important. I mean, he is important, but like, not in the sense of, you know." Sandra laughed. "You're sweating." "I know." On the other side of the locker room, Maria appeared holding a water bottle. "Jenny, here. You look like you're about to faint." Jenny drank half the bottle in one go. "Thank you. I'm fine. Everything is under control." Maria and Sandra exchanged looks. "Do you want us to help you with anything?" Maria offered. Jenny shook her head. "No, I just need to calm down. And maybe a miracle." She looked at the clock, 2:55. "My God, I'm going to be late." Jenny ran out of the locker room, crossed the service hallway, and almost knocked over a cart full of clean towels on the way. When she finally reached the employee exit, she stopped, fixed her hair for the 10th time, and murmured, "You can do this, Jenny. It's just a coffee. A normal coffee. With an absurdly handsome man who probably earns in 1 hour what you earn in a year. No pressure." She pushed the door and stepped outside. And there he was. Nathan Cole, leaning against a shiny black car, wearing sunglasses and a light blue dress shirt, Looked like he had stepped straight out of a men's fashion magazine. Jenny stopped on the sidewalk, feeling her legs weaken. My God, he's real. He actually came. Nathan took off his sunglasses and smiled when he saw her. Jenny. She opened her mouth to respond, but the only thing that came out was, "Hi." Just that. One pathetic syllable. Nathan walked toward her. You look beautiful. Jenny looked at her own clothes. The wrinkled shirt, the faded jeans, the white sneakers she had washed 3 times but still had a stubborn stain on the right side. I'm a mess, but thank you. He smiled. Ready for coffee? Jenny took a deep breath. Ready. But when she took the first step, she tripped on her own shadow and almost fell face first on the ground. Nathan grabbed her arm at the last second. Careful. Jenny looked up, meeting his eyes, and felt the whole world stop for a second. And then, with a trembling voice, she whispered, "Are you sure you want to have coffee with me?" He smiled. The same smile that had made her heart race the night before, and answered, gently holding her hand. Absolutely. Jenny Hart was having a silent panic attack. Not a normal panic attack, the kind that makes you take a deep breath and count to 10. No, this was the kind of panic that makes you forget how to walk in a straight line. Nathan had just opened the cafe door for her, with that smile that melted any defense. And now Jenny was standing at the entrance looking inside as if it were a portal to another dimension. Because, well, it was. The place was absurdly elegant. Marble tables, gray velvet chairs, hanging plants from the ceiling, a menu written by hand on a giant chalkboard with drink names Jenny had never heard in her life. They have caramel macchiato with organic oat milk? She murmured, reading the board. Is that coffee or a magic potion? Nathan laughed. It's coffee. Very expensive, but still coffee. Jenny swallowed hard. Right, expensive coffee. I can handle that. A lie. She couldn't. They sat at a table by the window, and Jenny immediately started adjusting everything around her. The napkin, the salt shaker, the sugar holder, her own chair. You're nervous, Nathan observed, resting his chin on his hand, clearly amused. Me? Nervous? Jenny let out a laugh that was too high-pitched. No, I just like to keep things organized. Professional habit. After so much cleaning, you know? I organize everything. Even at home. Doris, my neighbor, says I have OCD, but I think it's just attention to detail. She was talking way too fast. Nathan kept smiling. Breathe, Jenny. I am breathing, look. She took an exaggerated deep breath. See? Breathing working perfectly. He shook his head, trying not to laugh. The waitress arrived, the young woman in a black apron with her hair up in a perfect bun that made Jenny feel even more out of place. Good afternoon. What can I get for you? Nathan looked at Jenny. You order first. Jenny looked at the chalkboard menu again, in total panic. I'll have a coffee. Normal coffee. Like coffee. The one that comes in a cup and we drink it, the waitress. Americano? Yes. Jenny almost shouted with relief. That one. Sugar? Yes, please. Milk? Also, cream? Jenny looked confused. Milk and cream aren't the same thing? The waitress smiled with forced patience. Not exactly. Then, just the milk, please. Nathan ordered a double espresso, and the waitress left. Jenny let out the air she had been holding. My God. Ordering coffee has never been this complicated in my life. Nathan laughed for real this time. You're amazing. Amazing at being clumsy, you mean? No, amazing at being honest. Jenny turned red. When the drinks arrived, she grabbed the sugar packet, tried to open it with shaking hands, and spilled half of it on the table. Oh no. Jenny tried to gather the sugar with her hands, but only made it worse. I swear I'm not always like this. She stopped, looked at Nathan, and sighed. Okay, I am. I'm exactly like this. Clumsy, nervous, and apparently unable to open a sugar packet without causing a disaster. Nathan picked up a napkin, helped clean the table, and said with complete sincerity, I think that's charming. Jenny froze mid-movement. You think it's charming that I spilled sugar all over the table? I think it's charming that you're you. Jenny felt her heart make a strange little jump. Nathan, you need to get out of the house more. Meet normal people, because if you think this is charming, your standards are really low. He smiled. My standards are exactly where they should be. Jenny didn't know what to say, so she did the only thing she could. She changed the subject. So, you said you travel a lot. For work? Yes. My company has offices in several states. I spend a lot of time traveling, supervising operations, meetings, things like that. Jenny nodded, impressed. Wow, that must be exhausting, right? Like, you must work a lot. I do, but it's what I chose to do. And do you like it? Nathan thought for a moment. I used to like it more. More before what? Before I realized I was living only to work, without connection, without anything real. Jenny stirred her coffee slowly, processing his words. I get it. Like, I work a lot too. Really a lot. But it's different, right? I work because I have to. You work because you chose to. It's not as different as you think, Nathan said, his voice gentle. In the end, both of us are just trying to get by. Just in different ways. Jenny looked at him, surprised by the depth of his answer. Wow, Nathan, are you like a philosopher in your free time? He laughed. No, just someone who spent too much time alone thinking too much. Jenny took a sip of her coffee, which was delicious by the way, and gathered the courage to ask. And have you ever dated? Like, seriously? Nathan hesitated. I have, a few times, but nothing that lasted. Why not? Because it was hard to know if people liked me or what I represented. Jenny frowned. What you represented? Nathan noticed the slip and shifted smoothly. The position, the title, you know how it is. Jenny nodded, though she didn't fully understand. Oh yes, the boss. People must kiss up to you all the time, right? Nathan almost spit out his coffee. Something like that. Jenny laughed. Sorry. I say things without thinking sometimes. Don't apologize. It's refreshing. They sat in a comfortable silence for a moment, just drinking coffee and watching people walk by outside the window. Then Nathan asked, And what about you, Jenny? Have you ever dated? Jenny turned red. Me? Date? She laughed, but it was a sad little laugh. No, I never had time for that. Never. Never. She stirred her coffee again, avoiding his eyes. I always worked too much, really too much. Since I was a teenager, my parents, well, they weren't around much. So I learned early that if I didn't take care of myself, no one would. And taking care of myself meant working. A lot. All the time. Nathan stayed quiet, just watching her. Jenny continued, her voice softer. And when you work all the time, there's no room for other things. For going out, for meeting people, for dating. So I kind of gave up on that idea. I thought it just wasn't for me. And now? Jenny lifted her eyes and met his. Now? I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. Nathan smiled. And in that moment, Jenny felt something she had never felt before. Hope. When the check arrived, Nathan reached for his wallet, but Jenny was faster. No, I'll pay my part. Jenny, really, I brought money. She opened her purse and started counting crumpled bills and coins. Let me see, the coffee was $7. So, Nathan gently held her hand. Jenny, I invited you. I'll pay. But please. Jenny looked at her own hands full of counted money, and tears burned in her eyes. Because it was more than coffee. It was someone taking care of her. And she wasn't used to that. Nathan paid the bill, and they walked out of the cafe together. When they reached the sidewalk, Jenny stopped and said, Thank you, Nathan. Really, for everything. He smiled. Can we do this again? Jenny felt her heart race. You want to? Very much, she smiled, a real smile, full of light. Then yes. Yes, I want to too. Nathan stepped a little closer and asked softly, Can I walk you home? Jenny was about to say yes, but then she heard a familiar voice shouting from across the street. Jenny Hart, you're dating and you didn't tell me? It was Doris, the neighbor, holding a shopping bag in one hand and a mischievous smile on her face. Jenny closed her eyes. Oh my gosh. She was going to be interrogated for 3 hours the moment she got home. Chapter 5, The Impossible Invitation. Doris was crossing the street with the speed of a guided missile. Jenny saw her neighbor walking toward them and seriously considered pretending to faint. But it was already too late. Doris had that look that meant nobody was escaping without a full explanation. Hi, Doris, Jenny said with a forced smile. What a surprise seeing you here. In the middle of the street, yelling. Doris stopped in front of them, out of breath, holding her shopping bag with one hand and pointing at Nathan with the other. Who is this? This is Nathan, Jenny said, nervous. Nathan, this is Doris, my neighbor, and apparently my worst nightmare at the moment. Nathan held out his hand, polite. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Doris. Doris shook his hand, but her eyes never left Jenny. Mrs. Doris? This young man has manners. Jenny, where did you find him? I didn't find him anywhere, Doris. We just had coffee. Coffee, Doris repeated, with a mischievous smile. Of course. And you two hold hands when you drink coffee now? Jenny looked down and realized Nathan was still lightly holding her hand. She pulled away so fast she almost lost her balance. We were, but it wasn't. It's complicated. Nathan was clearly enjoying himself. Doris crossed her arms. Jenny Hart, you're going to tell me everything, every detail. But first, she turned to Nathan. You're handsome, polite, and you look like you have money. What are your intentions with my neighbor? Doris. Jenny's embarrassment was enough to melt asphalt. Nathan, however, answered with complete seriousness. My intentions are to get to know her better. And, if she agrees, take her out to dinner again. Doris nodded, approving. Good answer. You may stay. Jenny covered her face with both hands. I want to disappear. Doris patted her shoulder. Relax, dear. I'm just protecting you. She turned to Nathan again. Anything happens, I live in the apartment next door, and I have pepper spray. Nathan smiled. Noted. Doris finally walked away, but not without shouting from across the street. Jenny, you owe me a full conversation tonight. Jenny sighed. I'm sorry, she's intense, she's great, Nathan said, smiling, and she clearly cares about you. Jenny looked at him, surprised. You didn't think she was nosy? I did, but in a good way. Jenny shook her head, smiling, and that was when Nathan asked, Jenny, are you free Saturday night? She blinked. I think so. Why? There's a charity event at the hotel, fundraiser, dinner, auction, those things, and I'd like you to go. With me. As my guest. Jenny froze. You want me to go with you? To an event? A charity event? With rich people? Yes. Nathan, I don't know if... You don't have to decide now, he said gently. Take your time, but I'd love for you to come. Jenny opened her mouth, closed it, then whispered, I don't have anything to wear. Nathan smiled. You can go however you like. I just want your company. And before Jenny could answer, he leaned in, kissed her lightly on the forehead, and said, I'll text you later. Then he walked away, leaving Jenny standing on the sidewalk, touching her forehead like she had just received a divine blessing. 3 hours later, Jenny was in total panic inside Doris's apartment. I don't have anything to wear, Doris. Doris was sitting on the sofa, calmly drinking tea, while Jenny paced back and forth like a trapped animal. Breathe, dear. How am I supposed to breathe? He invited me to a charity event with rich people, and I'm going in what? My cleaning uniform? Doris set her cup down. Jenny Hart, sit here. Jenny sat, her hands trembling. Doris held her face with both hands. Listen, you are going to that event. You're going looking beautiful, and you're going to win everyone over. Understand? But I have a dress. Jenny blinked. You do? Doris stood, walked to the bedroom, and returned holding a green satin dress, simple but elegant. It was my daughter's. She wore it once to a graduation party and never wanted it again. Said the color wasn't for her, but on you, it's going to look perfect. Jenny touched the fabric gently. Doris, I can't accept this. Of course you can, and you will, because you deserve it, Jenny. Tears slid down Jenny's cheeks. I don't deserve it. I'm just... You're amazing, Doris said firmly, and it's time for you to believe that. On Saturday afternoon, Jenny was sitting in Doris's kitchen chair while her neighbor tried to tame her hair with a curling iron. Ouch! Doris, stop pulling. I'm not pulling. Your hair is stubborn. You're ripping my scalp off. Drama queen. Jenny looked in the mirror and almost didn't recognize herself. The green dress looked perfect. Her hair, despite her protests, was turning out beautiful. And Doris had even lent her a simple pair of pearl earrings. I look different, Jenny murmured. You look beautiful, Doris corrected. Jenny looked at her own reflection and felt a knot in her throat. Doris, what if I'm not good enough? What if people look at me and realize I don't belong there? Doris stopped fixing her hair and turned Jenny to face her. Listen, you are good enough. You always have been. And if someone at that event can't see it, that's their problem, not yours. Jenny wiped her tears before they ruined the light makeup Doris had done. Thank you for everything. Doris smiled. Now go and do great. When Jenny walked out of the building and saw Nathan waiting by the car, her heart almost stopped. He was wearing a tuxedo, a full tuxedo. Bow tie, perfect hair. And when he saw her, the smile that appeared on his face made all of Jenny's nervousness worth it. Jenny, he said, unable to finish the sentence. I know, she said nervously. The dress is borrowed. And the earrings, too. And Doris almost pulled my scalp off in the process. But you look stunning. Jenny didn't know what to say. Nathan opened the car door for her. Ready? Jenny took a deep breath. No, but let's go anyway. He laughed and got into the car beside her. As they drove toward the hotel, Jenny looked out the window and whispered quietly, "Please let me not mess anything up today." Nathan took her hand and squeezed it gently. "You're going to be perfect." Jenny looked at him and for the first time almost believed it. But when they arrived at the hotel and saw the line of luxury cars, the people in designer gowns, and the photographers at the entrance, Jenny felt the panic return in full force. Nathan noticed. "Hey, look at me." She looked. "You're with me, and as long as you're with me, nothing bad will happen. Do you trust me?" Jenny nodded, even with her heart racing. And when they stepped out of the car and the cameras began flashing, Jenny held Nathan's hand tightly. Because in that moment, she realized she was about to step into a completely different world. And she had no idea if she would survive it. Jenny Hart had never seen so many diamonds in one place. And it wasn't an exaggeration. Every woman walking through the entrance of the Cole Grand Hotel ballroom seemed to be wearing the equivalent of a small country's annual budget around her neck, wrists, and ears. Jenny glanced at her borrowed pearl earrings and thought, "Doris, I hope you have insurance for these things." Nathan held her hand firmly as they entered the ballroom. And then it happened. Everyone, absolutely everyone, turned to look. Jenny felt the weight of dozens of eyes on her as if she were being scanned by X-ray machines. "Nathan," she whispered, tightening her grip on his hand. "Everyone is looking." "Because you look beautiful," he replied calmly. "Or because I clearly don't belong here." Nathan stopped, turned to her and said firmly, "You belong anywhere I am. Understand?" Jenny swallowed hard and nodded. But inside, the panic was screaming. They walked through the ballroom, and Jenny tried not to trip over her own feet. The emerald green borrowed dress suddenly felt too bright, too simple, too cheap. Around her, women wore gowns with labels Jenny only saw in magazines. The men had tailored tuxedos, watches that cost more than she made in 5 years. And her? She had a borrowed dress, fake pearl earrings, and a pair of shoes that were already starting to pinch. "Breathe, Jenny," she murmured to herself. "You can do this. Just smile, wave, don't say anything silly." Nathan guided her to a table decorated with white flowers and candles, where a few people were already seated. A man with gray hair and a charcoal gray suit stood up immediately. "Nathan, great to see you." "Richard, the pleasure is mine," Nathan said, shaking his hand. "Let me introduce you. This is Jenny Hart." Jenny extended her hand, nervous. "Nice to meet you." Richard shook her hand politely, but Jenny noticed the evaluating look he gave her from head to toe. "Hart?" he repeated, as if trying to remember where he'd heard the name. "Are you from Hart Industries?" Jenny blinked. "No, I'm from the cleaning industry." Silence. Richard blinked back. "What do you mean?" "I work at the hotel," Jenny explained, trying to keep her smile. "I'm a housekeeper. I still am. But today I'm here as a guest." Richard looked at Nathan, clearly confused. Nathan, however, smiled. "Jenny is the employee of the year at the hotel, and someone very special." Jenny felt her face warm up. They sat down, and soon a waiter arrived with a tray of gourmet appetizers, small portions of something Jenny couldn't identify. She picked one up, looked at it closely, and whispered to Nathan, "What is this? It looks like a cracker, but it's not." Nathan held back a laugh. "It's crostini with liver pâté and fig jam." Jenny's eyes widened. Fig jam? On top of liver? Whoever invented this was feeling very inspired. Nathan couldn't hold it in and laughed. "Try it, you'll like it." Jenny took a cautious bite, chewed slowly, and then her eyes lit up. "My goodness, this is amazing, unbelievably amazing." She grabbed 2 more from the tray before the waiter walked away. On the other side of the table, a woman in a bright red dress and a diamond necklace watched Jenny with an expression that mixed curiosity and disdain. She leaned toward the friend next to her and whispered, though not as quietly as she thought, "Who is that girl? I've never seen her in our circles." The friend, with platinum hair and a perfect bun, shrugged. "Me neither. And look at the dress. It looks like one of those neighborhood shops." Jenny heard it. Every word. She stopped chewing, the appetizer suddenly losing all flavor. Nathan heard it too. He turned his head toward the women with a look so cold they immediately went silent. Then he took Jenny's hand on top of the table, in front of everyone, and said loud enough for the whole room to hear, "Jenny, you look wonderful, and I'm very happy you're here with me." Jenny felt tears burning in her eyes. She didn't know if it was from embarrassment or emotion, maybe both. The woman in red cleared her throat, embarrassed, and looked back at her plate. But the damage was already done. Jenny stood up abruptly. "Excuse me. I just need to go to the restroom." Nathan tried to hold her hand. "Jenny?" "It's fine," she said, forcing a smile. "I just need a minute." She left the hall before he could respond. Jenny locked herself in the women's restroom, braced her hands on the marble sink, and looked at her reflection. "You don't belong here," she whispered to herself. "They're right. You're just a housekeeper in a borrowed dress, pretending to be someone you're not." She wiped her tears carefully, trying not to smudge the makeup Doris had done so lovingly. The restroom door opened, and the woman in red walked in. Jenny froze. The woman stopped beside her, touching up her lipstick in the mirror. For a moment, neither of them said anything. Then the woman spoke, still looking at her reflection. "Do you really work at the hotel?" Jenny took a deep breath. "Yes." "As a housekeeper?" "Yes." The woman put the lipstick cap back on, placed it in her designer purse, and finally looked at Jenny. "And Nathan Cole brought you as his guest?" Jenny lifted her chin, trying to hold on to her dignity. "He did." The woman gave a half smile. "Interesting. Why?" "Because Nathan Cole never brings anyone to these events. Ever. He always comes alone, greets people, makes a donation, and leaves. But tonight," she looked Jenny up and down again, "but this time with something that resembled respect. Tonight he brought you, and he defended you in front of everyone." Jenny stayed quiet. The woman turned to leave, but before opening the door, she said, "Maybe you don't belong to our world, but clearly you belong to his." And then she left, leaving Jenny alone with her own thoughts. When Jenny returned to the hall, Nathan was waiting near the entrance. He walked toward her immediately. "Are you okay?" Jenny nodded. "I am. I'm sorry. I just needed a moment." Nathan held her face gently with both hands. "Jenny, I don't care what anyone here thinks. I only care about you." "Why?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why do you care about me? I'm not like these people." "Exactly," Nathan said, looking straight into her eyes. "That is exactly why." And before Jenny could respond, he pulled her back into the hall, her hand firmly in his. When they reached the table, Nathan stopped, turned to all the guests seated there, and said in a clear voice, "I want everyone to meet Jenny Hart. She is intelligent, dedicated, genuine, and one of the most remarkable people I've ever met, and I'm very fortunate to be here with her tonight." Jenny was speechless. The entire hall fell silent. And then, from the back of the room, someone started clapping. Then another, and another, until the whole hall was applauding. Jenny looked around, stunned, tears now running freely. Nathan smiled and whispered in her ear, "See? You belong here." And for the first time that night, Jenny almost believed it. But then, on the other side of the hall, a woman rushed in and walked straight toward Nathan. She was stunning. High-fashion dress, perfect blonde hair, and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. When she stopped in front of them, she looked at Jenny with barely disguised disdain and said, "Nathan, darling, we need to talk. Now." The blonde woman was standing half a meter from Jenny, smelling like expensive perfume and superiority. Nathan gently released Jenny's hand and turned to the newcomer with a polite but distant expression. "Victoria, I didn't know you would be here." Victoria smiled, the kind of smile people give when they want to seem friendly but are actually calculating how to destroy you. "Surprise," she said, placing her hand on Nathan's arm in a possessive way. "We need to talk about the merger contract. It's urgent." Jenny took a step back, feeling invisible again. Nathan noticed. "Victoria, this can wait until Monday." "No, Nathan, it can't." Victoria finally looked at Jenny, as if only now realizing she existed. "Sorry, dear. Business, you understand." Jenny understood nothing, but she nodded anyway. Nathan hesitated, clearly torn. "Jenny, it's okay," she said, forcing a smile. "Go. I'll wait here." But as Nathan walked away with Victoria, Jenny felt something break inside her chest. She didn't belong there. She was never going to belong there, so she went home. The blonde woman was standing half a meter from Jenny, smelling like expensive perfume and superiority. Nathan gently released Jenny's hand and turned to the newcomer with a polite but distant expression. "Victoria, I didn't know you would be here." Victoria smiled, the kind of smile people give when they want to seem friendly but are actually calculating how to destroy you. Surprise, she said, placing her hand on Nathan's arm in a possessive way. We need to talk about the merger contract. It's urgent. Jenny took a step back, feeling invisible again. Nathan noticed. Victoria, this can wait until Monday. No, Nathan, it can't. Victoria finally looked at Jenny as if only now realizing she existed. Sorry, dear. Business. You understand. Jenny understood nothing, but she nodded anyway. Nathan hesitated, clearly torn. Jenny? It's okay, she said, forcing a smile. Go. I'll wait here. But as Nathan walked away with Victoria, Jenny felt something break inside her chest. She didn't belong there. She was never going to belong. On Monday morning, Jenny was back in her cleaning uniform, pushing the cleaning cart down the 8th floor hallway. It was as if Saturday's event had been a dream. A beautiful, impossible dream that ended when she woke up. Maria appeared on the other end of the hallway, holding a magazine. Jenny, did you see this? Jenny kept scrubbing the hallway mirror. See what? This? Maria practically shoved the magazine in front of her. It was an issue of Business Elite magazine, and on the cover, wearing a perfect suit and that subtle smile Jenny knew so well, was Nathan. The headline said in huge letters, Nathan Cole, the billionaire CEO who is revolutionizing luxury hospitality. Jenny dropped the cleaning cloth. What? I know, Maria said, excited. He's like super rich. Owner of the whole Cole chain. He has hotels in 10 states. Jenny grabbed the magazine with trembling hands. She looked at the photo of Nathan. Nathan, the guy who paid for her coffee, who held her hand, who defended her in a hall full of rich people. Nathan Cole, CEO, billionaire, owner of the entire chain. Jenny, are you okay? Maria asked, noticing her pale face. Jenny dropped the magazine as if it were burning. I need to go. Go where? But Jenny was already running toward the locker room. She locked herself in the staff bathroom and pulled her phone from her pocket with trembling hands. She typed in the browser, Nathan Cole CEO. The results flooded the screen. Articles, interviews, photos at gala events, lists of the youngest billionaires in the United States. Jenny scrolled, each piece of information hitting like a punch to the stomach. Estimated net worth of $2.3 billion. Harvard graduate. Owner of 47 luxury hotels across the country. Jenny let the phone fall on the floor. Wait, she said out loud, her voice rising. He's the owner? Of the entire hotel? Of the entire chain? She put her hands on her head. My God, I split the coffee bill with a billionaire. She started pacing back and forth in the small bathroom. He saw me cleaning floors. He saw me wearing a wrinkled uniform. He saw me spilling sugar. The more she thought about it, the more reality crushed her. Nathan wasn't just some high-level executive. He was the owner. And her? She was the housekeeper he had met by accident. Her phone rang. Nathan? Jenny looked at the name on the screen, her heart racing, and she didn't answer. The phone rang again and again. Jenny turned it off and shoved it into her pocket. For the next few hours, Jenny became an expert at disappearing. When she saw Nathan entering the elevator, she hid behind her cleaning cart. When he walked down the hallway, she slipped quickly into an empty room. When he texted her, she pretended her phone had no battery. Sandra, the supervisor, noticed. Jenny, you're acting strange today. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. You hid inside a broom closet when Mr. Cole walked by. I was looking for a cleaning product. For 15 minutes, Jenny let out a long sigh. Sandra, please. I just need some space today. Sandra crossed her arms, but didn't push further. When her shift finally ended, Jenny practically ran home. She locked herself in the apartment, threw her purse on the couch, and slid down the wall until she was sitting on the living room floor. And then the tears finally came. She cried over the humiliation of not realizing who he was. She cried because she had believed, even for 1 second, that someone like Nathan Cole could ever be interested in someone like her. She cried because, deep down, a part of her still wanted to believe. But how? How could she, a housekeeper with a borrowed dress and shoes that hurt, ever stand next to a billionaire? Someone knocked on the door. Jenny wiped her face quickly. Doris, it's not a good time. It's not Doris, the voice was Nathan's. Jenny froze. Jenny's. Open the door. She stayed silent, barely breathing. I know you're in there. I just want to talk. Jenny shut her eyes tight. Go away, Nathan. No, not until you hear me out. There's nothing to hear. Yes, there is. Jenny stood up, furious, and yanked the door open. Nathan stood there, still in his suit, hair slightly messy, a worried look on his face. Why didn't you tell me? Jenny asked, her voice shaking. Why didn't you tell me who you really were? Nathan took a deep breath. Because for the first time in my life, someone was looking at me. Not at my last name, not at my money, just at me. But you lied. I didn't lie, I just didn't tell you everything. That's the same thing, Nathan. It's not. He stepped closer. Jenny, I didn't tell you because I was afraid. Afraid that if you knew, you'd see me differently. And I was right, because that's exactly what's happening now. Jenny felt the tears returning. You don't understand. You're a billionaire, Nathan. A billionaire. And I'm a housekeeper. I clean bathrooms. I can barely pay rent. How do you expect this to work? Nathan held her shoulders gently. I don't care about that. But I do, Jenny cried, her voice breaking. Because everyone is going to look at me and think I'm with you for money, that I'm trying to take advantage, that I'm not good enough. You are good enough. I'm not. Yes, you are. Silence fell between them, heavy and painful. Jenny wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Nathan, I don't know if I can do this. Do what? This. Us. She pointed between them. Being judged. Being stared at. Feeling like I don't belong. Nathan cupped her face with both hands, gently lifting her eyes to his. Then let me prove that you belong. Let me show you that what matters is how we feel, not what other people think. Jenny wanted to believe that. God, she wanted to. But the fear was stronger. I need time, she whispered. Nathan nodded, letting her go slowly. All right, take all the time you need. He turned to leave, but before walking away, he looked back and said, But Jenny, I'm not giving up on you. Then he left, and Jenny stood in the doorway, her heart breaking into pieces. Because for the first time in her life, she had found someone who made her want to believe in happy endings. And now she didn't know if she had the courage to fight for one. Jenny Hart was on day 3 of her self-imposed romantic mourning. She hadn't left the apartment. She hadn't answered the phone. She hadn't even changed out of her pajamas, a faded pink unicorn set she got in a Secret Santa exchange 5 years ago. The couch now had a permanent Jenny-shaped dent. 47 unread messages from Nathan, 17 missed calls, and a Jenny completely frozen by fear. Boom, boom, boom. Someone was pounding on the door like they planned to break it down. Jenny Hart, I know you're in there. It was Doris. Of course it was. Jenny pulled the blanket over her head. Go away, Doris. No way. The door opened, because of course Doris had a spare key. She walked into the apartment like a 65-year-old hurricane wearing a floral robe and fuzzy slippers. Good heavens. Doris looked around, horrified. Jenny, this place looks like the end of the world. There are 3 empty pizza boxes on the table. I was hungry, Jenny muttered from under the blanket. Get up. Get up. I don't want to. Doris walked to the kitchen, grabbed a glass of water, came back to the living room, and threw the whole thing on Jenny. Doris! Jenny jumped off the couch, soaked, hair stuck to her face, unicorn pajamas dripping. Are you out of your mind? Doris crossed her arms. Get up, drama queen. You're not the star of a soap opera. Jenny wiped her face with her wet sleeve. Doris, I'm not in the mood for what? For living? For working? For stopping the pity party? I am not feeling sorry for myself. Yes, you are. Doris pointed a finger right in her face. You've been here for 3 days, eating pizza, crying, and watching romantic videos on your phone. Jenny turned bright red. How do you know I was watching romantic videos? Because I heard them through the wall. 10 marriage proposals that will make you cry? Really, Jenny? Jenny collapsed back onto the couch. Doris, you don't understand. He's a billionaire. Billionaire. And I'm me. Doris sat beside her. And? What do you mean, and? Didn't you see? I don't fit in that world. Who said you have to fit into his world? Doris held Jenny's face in both hands. Maybe he needs to fit into yours. Jenny felt tears coming back. But Doris? No buts. Doris stood and pulled Jenny up with her. Now you are going to take a shower, change out of those ridiculous pajamas, and go back to work. Understood? I can't go back. He's there. So what? You're going to spend the rest of your life hiding? Jenny didn't have an answer. 2 hours later, Jenny was in the hotel's locker room, changing clothes with shaking hands. Maria walked in, saw Jenny, and screamed, Jenny, you're alive. Technically, yes. We thought you'd been abducted by aliens or something. Jenny shut her locker. I just needed a few days. A few days? Jenny, you vanished. And Mr. Cole, Maria lowered her voice. He asked about you, personally. He came into the locker room and everything. Jenny's heart skipped. He came here? He did, and he looked really worried. Like, really worried. Jenny felt her chest tighten. Maria, I need to tell you something. What? I kind of have been seeing him. Maria dropped her bag on the floor. You what? Shh. Jenny covered her mouth. Don't shout. Maria moved her hand away, eyes enormous. Jenny Hart, you are dating the billionaire CEO who owns the hotel chain, and you didn't tell me? I don't know if I'm dating. We've been out a few times, and he's amazing, Maria, but I don't know if I can do this. Do what? Date a handsome, wealthy, polite man who clearly likes you? Be part of that world. Maria held Jenny's shoulders. Jenny, listen. You're amazing. And if he doesn't see that, that's his problem. But if he does, then the problem is you not believing it. Jenny took a deep breath. Thank you, Maria. Now go work before Sandra fires you. Jenny was cleaning the hallway on the 15th floor when she saw the note taped to her cleaning cart. A white envelope, her name handwritten on it. She opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a printed letter on official Cole Grand Hotel stationery. Employee Scholarship Program. First recipient, Jenny Hart. Jenny read the letter 3 times. The program offered full tuition for college, technical courses, or any kind of professional training, and her name was on it, as the very first choice. She turned the letter over and saw a handwritten note on the back. Jenny, you deserve the chance to become anything you want to be. Not because I'm asking, but because you always deserved it. N. The tears came before she could stop them. He wasn't trying to change her. He was trying to help her grow. Jenny pulled her phone from her pocket with shaking hands, opened her messages, 47 texts from Nathan. She scrolled to the last one. Jenny, I understand if you don't want to see me again, but please know that you changed my life, and I will never regret meeting you. Jenny wiped her tears and began to type. Deleted it. Typed again. Deleted it. Took a breath. And finally wrote, Can we talk? The reply came in 3 seconds. Whenever you want, wherever you want. Jenny smiled through her tears. Today, at sunset, on the hotel roof. She sent the message, put her phone away, and looked at the letter in her hands. For the first time in 3 days, Jenny Hart felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. And maybe, just maybe, the courage to try again, because some stories deserve a second chapter. And hers with Nathan was just beginning. The sunset in Dallas painted the sky orange and pink when Jenny reached the rooftop of the Cole Grand Hotel. She had come up through the service stairs, old habits, and now she was standing at the access door, watching the scene in front of her with her heart racing. Nathan was there, wearing jeans and a simple white shirt, no tie, no jacket, nothing that reminded her of the billionaire CEO. And beside him, on a checkered blanket spread on the ground, there was food truck food. Burgers wrapped in aluminum foil, fries in brown paper bags, soda in cans, and 2 strawberry milkshakes with striped straws. Jenny stopped 3 feet away. Nathan turned his head, saw her, and smiled. That smile that made her stomach flip. You came. I came, Jenny answered, her voice shaky. He stood up, wiping his hands nervously on his pants. I didn't know what you liked to eat, so I got a little bit of everything from the food truck on the corner. There's a regular burger, one with cheese, a vegetarian one. He was talking way too fast. And fries. A lot of fries. Because who doesn't like fries, right? Jenny took a step forward. Nathan, yes? Breathe. He let out the air he had been holding and laughed nervously. Sorry, I was afraid you wouldn't come. Jenny walked over to the blanket and sat down, crossing her legs. I almost didn't. Nathan sat in front of her, keeping a respectful distance. What made you change your mind? Jenny looked at him, really looked, and saw something she didn't expect. Vulnerability. The letter, she said softly. The scholarship program. Nathan, why? He looked away toward the city below, the lights starting to switch on one by one. Because I realized something. I've spent my whole life surrounded by people who wanted something from me. Money, connections, status, but you. He looked back at her. You never asked me for anything, and when I tried to give you something, you wanted to split the cafe bill. Jenny laughed through the tears forming in her eyes. It was $7, Nathan. I know, and it was the nicest gesture anyone has ever made for me. Silence. Nathan picked up one of the burgers and tried to open the aluminum foil, but he was so nervous he pulled too hard. The The burger slipped out of the wrapper, flew over the blanket, and landed on the rooftop floor with a sad little splat. Jenny's eyes widened. Nathan looked at the fallen burger, and then the two of them started laughing. Not a polite laugh. A real one, the kind that makes your stomach hurt. "My God," Nathan said, still laughing. "I can buy a hotel, but I can't open a sandwich." Jenny wiped the tears from laughing. "See? You're clumsy too. I'm not the only one." "You rubbed off on me," he said, grabbing another burger, this time with exaggerated care. "Before I met you, I never dropped anything." "Liar, really." Nathan opened the burger successfully and offered it to her. "I used to be coordinated, elegant, sophisticated." Jenny took the burger. "And boring?" Nathan stopped, thought for a moment, and agreed. "And boring." They ate in a comfortable silence for a few minutes, watching the sun disappear completely on the horizon. Then Jenny said, her voice low, "Nathan, I need to tell you something." He set the burger aside, giving her his full attention. "You can tell me." Jenny took a deep breath, trying to find courage. "I'm afraid you'll wake up one day and realize you deserve someone better." The words came out fast, desperate, honest. Someone prettier, someone more educated, someone more on your level. And that you'll look at me and think, "What was I doing?" Nathan stayed quiet for a long moment. Jenny continued, tears now streaming. "I can't walk in high heels without tripping. I don't know which fork to use. I talk to myself. I drop things. I live in a tiny apartment that shares a wall with Doris." Jenny? She stopped, looking at him through the tears. Nathan leaned closer and gently wiped her face. "Do you want to know what my fear is?" She nodded, unable to speak. "I'm afraid you'll never believe you're amazing." Jenny sniffled. "Nathan, I've spent my whole life at fancy events, surrounded by people on my level. Do you know what I felt? Nothing. Absolutely nothing." He held her hand. "But when you spilled sugar on the cafe table, when you mixed up the fish fork, when you talked to yourself thinking no one was listening, I felt something I had never felt before." "What?" "That I was alive." Jenny closed her eyes, letting the tears fall freely. Nathan continued, "You make me laugh. You make me want to be better. You make me feel like there's something more important than meetings and contracts and profits. And yes, you talk to yourself. And yes, you drop things. But those are the parts I love the most." Jenny opened her eyes. "Love?" Nathan realized what he had said and turned red. I didn't mean, it's too soon to." Jenny cut him off, placing her hand on his face. "Say it again." "What?" "The part you love the most." Nathan smiled, that shy, genuine smile he only showed to her. "I love that you talk to yourself. I love that you drop things. I love that you tried to split the bill for a $7 coffee. I love—" He took a breath. "I love you, Jenny Hart." The world stopped. Jenny looked at Nathan. Nathan Cole, billionaire CEO, owner of 47 luxury hotels, Harvard graduate, sitting on the floor of a rooftop eating a food truck burger and telling her he loved her. And she realized something. Maybe she didn't need to change. Maybe she just needed to believe. "I love you too," she whispered. Then she kissed him. It was a kiss that tasted like fries, burger sauce, and strawberry milkshake. A kiss with tears mixed in and muffled laughter. The most perfect and imperfect kiss at the same time. When they pulled apart, Nathan rested his forehead against hers and said, "So, do we try again?" Jenny smiled. Our way? Our way? No fancy events?" "No fancy events, just food trucks and rooftops." Jenny laughed. "I accept." And there, under the Dallas stars, with the city shining below them, Jenny Hart and Nathan Cole decided to write their own story. An imperfect, messy, completely theirs story. And for the first time, Jenny believed that maybe, just maybe, she deserved a happy ending. Chapter 10. Victoria's Revenge, corrected. 3 weeks had passed since the rooftop kiss. 3 weeks of good morning messages, quick lunches hidden in the hotel kitchen, and secret smiles in the hallways. Jenny was floating, until that Tuesday morning. She was in the hotel locker room, putting her uniform in the locker, when she noticed the silence. That heavy kind of silence that happens when people were talking about you 2 seconds before you walked in. She looked around. 5 coworkers immediately looked away. "Good morning?" Jenny said, confused. Sandra, the supervisor, cleared her throat and hurried out. Maria was sitting on the bench, scrolling on her phone with a strange expression on her face. "Maria, what's going on?" Maria looked up, hesitant. "Jenny, did you see the messages?" "What messages?" Maria handed her the phone. It was the hotel employees' group chat, and it was on fire. Jenny scrolled through the messages, her heart tightening with every line. Guys, is it true Jenny is dating the owner of the hotel? Seriously? Jenny? She must be using him to move up in life. I always thought she was too perfect. Now it makes sense. I bet she's after his money. Jenny felt her legs go weak. How did they find out? Maria sighed. Victoria. Who? That blonde woman who showed up at the charity event. She came here yesterday, talked to some people in management, and accidentally let it slip that you and Mr. Cole are together. Jenny dropped the phone on the bench. She did it on purpose. Of course she did, Maria said, annoyed. But Jenny, don't let it get to you. The people who know you're not like that. But from the way the other employees were looking at Jenny at that moment, it was clear not everyone thought so. During her shift, Jenny felt every stare, every whisper, every small laugh when she walked by. At lunch, she sat alone in the cafeteria for the first time in 3 years. Maria tried to sit with her, but Sandra called her over to solve something urgent. And Jenny stayed there, pushing food around her plate without eating, feeling the weight of everyone's judgment. That's when she heard the conversation at the table next to her. 2 receptionists, Stacy and Laura, were talking loud enough for Jenny to hear, and that was probably the point. I always thought she was strange, Stacy said, biting an apple. Now it makes sense. Strange how? Laura asked. That too perfect attitude, you know? Always nice, always helping everyone. It was all an act. Jenny tightened her grip on the fork. And Stacy lowered her voice, but not enough. She must be really good to catch a billionaire like that. Jenny felt something break inside her chest. She stood up so fast the chair scraped on the floor. Both women turned, realizing Jenny had heard everything. Jenny, we weren't. Stacy started, awkward. But Jenny was already leaving the cafeteria, her eyes burning with tears she refused to let fall in front of them. Jenny locked herself in the 5th floor bathroom, the one almost no one used, and finally let the tears fall. She slid down until she was sitting on the cold floor, hugging her knees. I can't win, she whispered to herself. If I'm not with him, I'm too inferior. If I am with him, I'm a gold digger. She wiped her face with trembling hands. Why did I think this could work? The bathroom door opened. Maria walked in, out of breath, as if she had been running. Jenny, I knew you were here. Maria, I just want to be alone. No, you're not going to be alone. Maria sat on the floor beside her. Because I'm not going to let those mean people make you give up. Jenny let out a bitter laugh. They're right, Maria. I don't belong in that world. And so what? Maria turned Jenny's face toward her. Who said you have to belong? Jenny, you're the hardest working, most honest, most amazing person I know. And if Nathan Cole saw that, it's because he has eyes in his head. Jenny wiped her tears again. But everyone thinks I'm with him for money. Not everyone. I don't think that. And you know why? Maria smiled. Because the Jenny I know can barely open a sugar packet without spilling everything. Do you think she's capable of being manipulative? For heaven's sake. Jenny laughed through the tears. Thank you, Maria. You're welcome. Now get up and wash your face. You're not letting Victoria win. When Jenny went back to the hallway, she saw a crowd of employees near the main lobby, all looking in the same direction. Jenny walked closer and froze. Nathan was there, in a perfect suit, serious expression, talking directly to Victoria, who was standing in front of him with a fake smile on her face. Nathan, darling, I don't understand why you're so upset, Victoria said in a syrupy voice. I only mentioned casually that. You didn't mention anything casually, Nathan cut her off, his voice cold. You intentionally spread gossip to harm Jenny. Victoria blinked, pretending innocence. Gossip? Nathan, I only told the truth. You two are seeing each other, aren't you? What I do in my personal life is not your business, and certainly not the business of this hotel's employees. But Nathan, and since you love honesty so much, here's one. You're banned from all Cole hotels. Permanently. Victoria's smile vanished. You can't do this. I can. And I just did. Nathan turned to the security guard. Please escort the lady to the exit. Victoria looked around, realizing everyone was watching. You'll regret this, Nathan. She's not worth it. Nathan stepped toward her, his eyes showing controlled anger. She's worth more than you'll ever understand. And then he turned his back to Victoria and walked straight toward Jenny. The entire hallway went silent. Nathan stopped in front of her, his expression softening instantly. "Are you okay?" Jenny nodded, unable to speak. Nathan looked around at all the employees watching, and then he did something no one expected. He took Jenny's hand, in front of everyone. "I want everyone to know," he said, loud enough for the whole hallway to hear. "Jenny is not with me for money. She's not with me for status. She's with me because, against all odds, she decided to give me a chance. And I'm the luckiest man in the world because of that." Jenny felt her tears return, but this time they were different. Nathan looked at her and whispered, "I love you, and I don't care who knows it." And there, in the middle of the Cole Grand Hotel lobby, with dozens of people watching, Nathan Cole kissed Jenny Hart. And for the first time, Jenny didn't care about the stares, because she finally understood something. What people thought didn't matter. What the two of them felt did. And that was all she needed to know. The kiss in the hotel lobby had happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks of loving looks, dinners at food trucks, and Nathan discovering he could be happy eating hamburgers while sitting on the curb. And now he was standing in front of Jenny's apartment building holding a bottle of wine that probably cost more than her rent. Jenny opened her apartment door with a nervous smile. Hi, Nathan said, handing her the bottle. "I brought wine. Or is that too formal for pasta?" Jenny took the bottle and read the label. "Nathan, this has a year printed on it. Like a specific year." "Wine has a year?" "It does," he said, stepping into the apartment. "But honestly, I have no idea what it means. The hotel sommelier gave it to me." Jenny closed the door and watched as Nathan looked around. The apartment was tiny, a combined living room and kitchen, an old but comfortable couch, a small TV on a scratched wooden stand, floral curtains Doris had gifted her 3 years ago, and Nathan was standing there in his dress shirt and slacks, completely out of place and completely perfect. "It's small," Jenny said, her voice shaky. "I know, but it's mine." Nathan turned to her, smiling. "It's perfect. You don't have to lie. I'm not lying." He walked to the window that faced the parking lot. "You have a view of a parking lot." Jenny laughed, nervous. "I know. Very glamorous, right?" "It's real," Nathan said, turning back to her, "and I love that." Jenny felt her face warm. "Sit down. I'll finish dinner." Nathan sat at the little 2-person table while Jenny stirred the pot of spaghetti and meatballs. "So," he said, watching her, "do you cook often?" "Always," Jenny answered, tasting the sauce. "This is basically the only thing I know how to make without burning the place down." "Have you tried making other things?" "Once I tried roasting chicken." Jenny made a face. There was so much smoke the fire alarm went off and the fire department showed up. Nathan tried not to laugh. "Really? Really?" Doris thought the building was on fire. It was a nightmare. As if called by her name, the apartment door opened. Doris walked in with the spare key, holding nothing. "Oh," she said, pretending to be surprised when she saw Nathan. "You're here." Jenny turned, still holding the wooden spoon. "Doris, did you knock?" "I did." Doris lied without hesitation. "You didn't hear me. I just came to grab my remote." "What a coincidence you're having dinner." Jenny narrowed her eyes. "Doris, you didn't leave any remote here." "I didn't." Doris looked around dramatically. "Oh, then it must be in my apartment. Sorry, carry on. Pretend I'm not even here." She left, closing the door. Nathan was clearly holding back a laugh. "Does she always do that?" "Always," Jenny sighed. "Welcome to my life." They sat down to eat, and Nathan took his first bite of spaghetti. He chewed, stopped. His eyes widened. "Oh my God." Jenny froze. "Is it bad?" "I knew it. I put in too much salt, didn't I?" "Jenny," Nathan said, looking at her with a serious expression. "This is the best thing I've ever eaten in my life." She blinked. "Really? Really?" He took another bite, almost desperate. "Where did you learn to make this?" Jenny smiled shyly. "My grandma. It was the only thing she knew how to cook too. I guess it's genetic." Nathan laughed, and they kept eating in comfortable silence, until the door opened again. Doris, this time holding an empty mug. "Sorry," she said, all innocent. "I forgot my mug here yesterday." Jenny didn't even look up from her plate. "Doris, that mug is mine." "It is?" Doris looked at the mug. "Wow, it looks just like mine. Anyway, enjoy your meal." She left again. Nathan was laughing openly now. "She's obviously keeping an eye on you." "She's protecting me," Jenny corrected, smiling. In her own way, Nathan suddenly grew serious. "You're lucky, you know? Lucky? To have someone who cares like that, someone who bursts into your apartment just to make sure you're okay. Jenny looked at him, noticing the sadness hidden behind his words. You don't have that? Nathan shook his head. My family is complicated. We see each other on holidays, sign birthday cards, but we don't have this closeness, this loving invasion of privacy. Jenny laughed at the phrase. Loving invasion of privacy. I'm using that with Doris. They finished eating and Jenny began collecting the dishes. Nathan stood to help. You don't have to. I want to. They washed the dishes together, side by side at the tiny sink, their arms brushing as they moved, and Nathan realized something. He had never washed dishes in his life. He always had staff for that. But here, with his hands in warm soapy water, listening to Jenny hum softly, he felt something he had never felt before. Peace. Jenny, he said quietly. Yes, this is the first place where I've ever truly felt at home. Jenny stopped, holding a plate, and turned to him. Nathan. No, let me say it. He dried his hands and held her shoulders. I've spent my whole life in mansions, luxury hotels, huge empty places, and I never felt at home. But here, he looked around the small apartment. Here I feel like I can breathe. Tears began rolling down Jenny's face. I was always embarrassed about where I live. The size, how simple it is, not having anything nice to show. Jenny, Nathan wiped her tears. This is the most beautiful place I've ever seen, because it's yours, because it's real, because it's... The door opened for the third time. Doris, holding a plant. I forgot my fern. Jenny and Nathan turned at the same time. Doris, Jenny yelled, laughing. That plant is mine. Doris looked at the plant, then at both of them, and finally had the decency to look embarrassed. Fine. I admit it, I had my eye on it. We noticed, Nathan said, smiling. Doris crossed her arms, giving Nathan that protective grandmother look. So, your intentions are still good, Doris? Jenny covered her face with both hands, but Nathan answered seriously. My intentions are to love her, just the way she is, in her world. Doris studied him for a long moment, then she smiled. Good answer, kid. You can stay. She finally left, for real this time. Later that night, after Jenny fell asleep on the couch watching TV, Nathan stepped out onto the apartment balcony. He picked up his phone and dialed a number he hadn't called in weeks. Mom? He said when Eleanor answered. Nathan, what a surprise. Is everything all right? It is. Better than all right, actually. He looked through the window, seeing Jenny sleeping peacefully. I met someone. There was a pause. Someone special? Very special. Nathan smiled. Her name is Jenny. She works at the hotel. She's a cleaner, and Mom, she's incredible. Tell me about her, Eleanor said, and he could hear a smile in her voice. She talks to herself, drops things, lives in a tiny apartment, and today, he let out a quiet laugh. Today I washed dishes for the first time in my life. You what? I know. Sounds silly. But it was perfect. She makes me feel normal, Mom. Not the CEO, not the billionaire, just Nathan. Eleanor was silent for a moment. She sounds wonderful. She is, and I think, Nathan took a deep breath. I think I'm in love. Then I need to meet her. Nathan smiled. You'll love her. Everyone does. When can I meet this special girl? Soon. I promise. They talked for a few more minutes, and when Nathan hung up, he walked back inside. Jenny had woken up and was rubbing her eyes. Who were you talking to? My mom, Nathan said, sitting beside her. Really? Jenny suddenly looked nervous. What did you tell her? That I met someone amazing, and that I washed dishes today. Jenny laughed. You told your mom you washed dishes? I did. It was an important achievement. Jenny rested her head on his shoulder. You're crazy. I am, but you like me that way. I do, she admitted, smiling. And there, in that tiny apartment with Doris probably listening through the wall, Nathan realized he had finally found what he'd been searching for. A home, not a place, a person. 2 weeks later, Nathan's phone rang while he was in a meeting. It was his mother. Mom, I'm in the middle of... Nathan, I'm in Dallas, at the hotel. I want to meet Jenny. Nathan froze. Tonight? Now? Now. Bring her, please. Nathan hung up and immediately called Jenny. Jenny, can you come to the hotel? Why? Did something happen? Nathan hesitated. My mom is here, and she wants to meet you. Now. On the other end, he heard Jenny choke. Now! Nathan, I'm in my uniform! I smell like cleaning products. She won't care. I care! Nathan smiled despite the nerves. Jenny, breathe. I'll pick you up in 20 minutes, okay? Silence. Then, okay. But if she hates me, it's your fault. She won't hate you, she'll love you. Everyone does, and he was right. Jenny hung up and stood frozen in the 12th floor hallway, clutching her mop like it was a lifeline. "Oh my God," she whispered. "His mother is here. Now, and I'm in uniform." Maria walked by pushing the cleaning cart and stopped when she saw Jenny's expression. "Jenny, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "Worse," Jenny said, voice thin. "Nathan's mother is at the hotel, and she wants to meet me." "Now." Maria dropped the cart. "Now. Like now. Now. Oh my God." Maria grabbed Jenny's arm. "Run to the locker room. Run." They took off down the hallway, Jenny still clutching the mop. The locker room turned into chaos in seconds. Jenny had thrown her uniform on the floor and was digging through her locker in panic. "I don't have anything decent," she yelled. Maria was beside her, trying to help. "Calm down. You have that blue blouse. It's wrinkled." "So what? It's better than a uniform." Sandra, the supervisor, walked into the locker room and stopped when she saw the scene. "What's going on here?" "Mr. Cole's mother is at the hotel and wants to meet Jenny now," Maria explained. Sandra's eyes widened. "Eleanor Cole? Here?" "Yes," Jenny shouted, pulling on a plain white t-shirt and a pair of jeans. "And I'm going to meet her like this, in my after-work clothes." Maria grabbed a comb. "At least let me fix your hair." "Ow, stop pulling. Beauty hurts, sweetheart." Sandra came back with a pair of flats from Lost and Found. "Here, better than work sneakers." Jenny slipped them on quickly. Maria found a lipstick in her bag and applied it to Jenny's lips. "There, you look presentable." Jenny looked in the mirror. A plain white t-shirt, jeans, hair minimally fixed, a touch of lipstick. She looked like herself. Simple, real. "I can do this," she whispered. "Of course you can," Maria shouted. "Now go." Jenny took a deep breath and left the locker room. Jenny walked down the service stairs with her legs shaking. When she got close to the lobby, she stopped, leaning against the wall. "Calm down, Jenny," she murmured to herself. "Breathe. You've cleaned this hotel's floors 1,000 times. You can meet one person, just one person, who happens to be the mother of the man you love, and who is probably rich and sophisticated and will judge you. Oh God, why am I doing this?" "Because you love him." Jenny turned. Nathan was standing there, in a perfect suit but with the most vulnerable expression she had ever seen. "Nathan." He walked up to her and held her hands. "You look beautiful." "I'm wearing a t-shirt and jeans." "And you look beautiful." Jenny looked at him, searching for signs he was lying, but saw only sincerity. "You're nervous," she said, noticing his damp hands. "Very," he admitted. "Because this matters. You matter." Jenny felt tears threatening but blinked fast. "No, don't cry now, Jenny. Maria will kill me if I ruin the lipstick." Nathan laughed and kissed her forehead. "Ready?" "No, but let's go anyway." They walked together toward the lobby, and there she was, Eleanor Cole. Elegant, gray hair perfectly styled, a simple but clearly expensive dress, perfect posture. Jenny looked at her own clothes, a white t-shirt and jeans, and felt a wave of embarrassment. But when Eleanor saw Jenny, her face lit up with a warm smile. Nathan made the introductions. "Mom, this is Jenny. Jenny, my mother, Eleanor Cole." Jenny extended her hand, trying not to shake. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Cole. I'm sorry about the clothes. I was working and—" Eleanor ignored the extended hand and pulled Jenny into a tight hug. Jenny froze for a second, then relaxed into the embrace. "So you're the young woman who won my son's heart," Eleanor said, stepping back with a genuine smile. Jenny didn't know what to say. I don't know if I won." "You did," Eleanor laughed. "Nathan called me 2 weeks ago, absolutely delighted, just to tell me he had eaten spaghetti and meatballs at your place, and that he washed dishes for the first time in his life." Nathan covered his face with his hands, mortified. "Mom, please." "Dishes, Jenny," Eleanor went on, her eyes sparkling with amusement. "He was so proud he looked like he had climbed Mount Everest." Jenny laughed, surprised. "It was just spaghetti." "It was much more than that," Eleanor said, suddenly serious. "It was the first time in years I heard my son truly happy." Tears burned in Jenny's eyes. Eleanor took her hands gently. "Thank you, Jenny, for making my son smile again, for reminding him that life exists beyond work and responsibilities." I didn't do anything special," Jenny whispered. "Yes, you did," Eleanor said firmly. "You reminded him of who he really is." Jenny couldn't hold back her tears. Eleanor wiped her face with a silk handkerchief she took from her purse. "And don't worry about your clothes, dear," she said with a smile. "You look perfect just the way you are. Authentic, real, Exactly what my son needs. Jenny felt her heart melt. Call me Eleanor, she continued. No more Mrs. Cole. After all, we have plenty of time ahead to get to know each other better. The next 3 months were transformative. Eleanor showed up at Jenny's apartment twice a week, always with shopping bags. Eleanor, you don't have to. Nonsense. Tomorrow you and I are going shopping. No discussion. And that's how Jenny found herself in expensive stores, trying on clothes she never imagined wearing. Until Eleanor stopped when Jenny walked out of the fitting room in an emerald green dress. That one is perfect. Jenny looked at the reflection. Are you sure? It's very simple. Eleanor stood beside her in the mirror. Jenny, when Nathan told me he was in love, I was afraid. Afraid it might be someone only interested in his money. She held Jenny's hand. But then I met you. I saw the way you look at him, and I realized you love my son for who he truly is. The tears came down. Jenny hugged Eleanor right there. Thank you for accepting me. Thank you for loving my son. Jenny was cleaning the hallway when she received the message. Rooftop. Sunset. I have a surprise. Nathan, very, very nervous, Jenny went up the stairs, her heart racing. When she opened the rooftop door, she stopped. String lights, candles, the checkered blanket, strawberry milkshakes. Nathan was there, nervous, in jeans and a white shirt. Hi. What is all this? Jenny asked, moved. Us. Going back to the beginning, they sat down. Jenny, before I met you, I had everything people think matters, but I was empty. He held her hands. You changed that. You taught me what really matters. Nathan got down on one knee. Jenny covered her mouth. He took out the box. A simple ring. Perfect. Jenny Hart, you changed my whole life. Will you marry me? Silence. Wait, are you really sure? Because I still talk to myself. I drop things. Doris is going to invade our house. Nathan laughed and pulled her into a kiss. Absolutely sure. Then yes, yes. He put the ring on her finger. And in that moment on the rooftop where everything started, Jenny knew. She had found her place. Not in a palace, but in the arms of someone who loved her exactly as she was. 6 months later, Jenny married Nathan in a simple garden. A simple white dress, but with all the delicacy Jenny represented. Doris crying as the maid of honor. Maria throwing rice. Eleanor in the front row, glowing. And Nathan looking at Jenny as if she were his entire universe. When the minister said, "You may kiss the bride," Nathan whispered, "Thank you for sitting in the wrong chair." Jenny smiled through her happy tears. "Thank you for making believe I deserved to be there." And they kissed, under the Dallas sky, a new story beginning. Built on perfect mistakes and true love. The end. If you were in Jenny's place and found out you were dating a billionaire CEO without knowing it, would you run away in fear or jump into the adventure? Tell us in the comments. We love hearing what you think. On a scale from 0 to 10, what rating would you give this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to get more emotional stories like this. See you next time.